Hi ho.
Hello.
Hey there.
Hi.
Thank you for um agreeing to this.
Oh yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. I've been a huge fan of your work since Steven Universe since the Steven Universe reviews.
Oh boy, that's way back. That's when that was just like a hobby.
Well, a hobby can lead to great things.
uh in some cases, yes. But yeah, wow. See, SU days, man.
Yeah, back then when life was simple, I guess.
Yeah, I know, pre-pandemic and everything.
hmm So, tell me about yourself.
Oh boy. All right. Oh man, where to start?
Yeah, sorry if it's so out of the blue. I'm so sorry.
So no, all good. Um I'm Rebecca. I don't know, I guess I'll start from like college. I feel like starting from
Mhm.
college is probably the easiest. I'm originally from the Chicagoland area.
Oh,
And I went
really?
to school. Yeah. So I went to school at Columbia College in Chicago for cinema arts and sciences. Uh I was thinking about doing animation, but I think just learning animation from there just wasn't for me
Yeah,
particularly. I mean, people go to, art schools and everything like that, and they
yeah.
find that very fulfilling. They feel like they, get what they need to learn. Um, but just personally, it wasn't for me. Uh, so I kind of fell into the path of video editing. That's when I started doing like the Steven Universe stuff because I was like, oh, this seems like it'd be fun just to kind of like, do on the
Yeah.
side just as a hobby. Um,
Yeah,
so I just
video editing can be video editing can be fun.
yeah, so I just kind of picked it up as a hobby. I started just kind of teaching myself how to, do like Adobe Premiere and like the whole Adobe suite and everything like that. So I kind
Mhm.
of started following that path. And then after I graduated, I just kind of kept doing like the video editing thing.
Yeah.
So, I was doing like freelance and I was doing, YouTube and stuff like that. But it really wasn't until like the pandemic hit that I started picking up YouTube more as like an actual job. Um, and at the time, Steven Universe Future was ending. Um, and then Owl House had just kind of like aired its first 10 episodes.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, so Steven Universe Future's ending, and this show Owl House, which I had been following since the start, I just hadn't been covering it on YouTube because I
Yeah,
wasn't
same here.
doing it.
I honestly forgot about the Owl House existence because I was too caught
Mm,
up with Steven Universe, like the
yeah.
Steven Universe movie, Steven Universe
Mm,
Future. I wanted to know what was happening next because Steven Universe has always been a part of my life
mm,
and just to know where it's going and all that.
oh
So
yeah.
then
Uh,
I started watching the Owl House during like
yep.
January and I
Mhm.
fell in love with it.
Yeah, I mean, like I feel that it was like a lot of people. It's like, Steven Universe Future ended and kind of like was the end of that whole, series and franchise. And I feel that Owl House was a good jumping point for
hmm
people, especially with the pandemic around the corner, because people were at home and they had nothing to do. And so that's when a lot of people started watching. So I started making videos on it. And I was like, all right, I'll do like a video a week for as long as the pandemic happens. And then, obviously the pandemic.
I started watching your your Owl House videos and they're some of the best I've seen. Like I
Oh,
love
thank
watching your
you.
reactions, your reviews, and how you tend to look at a lot of like how the messages like
Mm.
about season one and season two, and that's a really sharp eye.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. Like I remember like noticing like very early on, I was like, oh, I feel like there's like these reoccurring like eye symbols. I was like, I wonder if
hmm
that like means something. And like there are people who have like gone on Tumblr uh and figured it out already. Like, and thank God, because like those people are probably like way smarter than I am. I'm like, all right, they did the legwork. So I shouted them out. Whoever those two individuals were. I
Yeah.
think this is where the line starts, and Annie Star Rose were the first two that I noticed that pointed it out. So they were the ones that did most of the legwork on that. I
Yeah,
just
I
like
just
point them
didn't
out in like
notice.
videos.
I was just more I was just more invested in like the show. I just didn't really notice it all. I was invested in this character Luce and whatnot,
Mm,
like Ida, the foxy witch,
yeah.
and, and King and Hootie. And it's just like I just didn't notice until then. And then I started getting more invested in the lore. When the show came back on from like its hiatus in I think it was around June of 2020. And
Mm,
I saw the trailer and I saw Amity putting her arms on Luce. I was like, whoa, are they really doing this? Because at first
yeah.
I was like, are they actually really going to go through with this? Because like they could or they couldn't. I did notice something in Lost in Language. I started shipping them, but I was just
Mm.
like, maybe they won't do this. But then I was just like, then I saw that tweet where Dana said to the responses, "There's no heterosexual
Yeah.
explanation," and she said there really is. And I was
There
like,
really isn't.
well then,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
but
I feel like that was like a lot of people's feelings. It's
mhm,
like, are they really going to commit to this? Like, is this actually going in the direction that we think it's going to go in? Um, it felt like almost too good to be true,
it
kind of a
did,
thing.
and plus it's
Um,
Disney.
yeah, and it's Disney. I mean, like pretty much. I mean, I know there's representation across like
Hmm.
the different channels and studios and stuff like
Hmm.
that, but I feel it like wasn't to like this extent where it's like the main protagonist and like them
Yeah,
being in a
it's like
canon
it's
relationship
very
partway
rare.
through the series like
Hmm.
yeah.
But hey, I'm glad they went with it. So there's
Oh, me
that.
too. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Hmm.
I'm so
Like
happy.
made history, made
Like
history on Disney
legit,
Channel.
legit. Yeah.
So my next question is, what made you want to become a YouTuber?
I mean, I just kind of like, I mean, I was watching Steven Universe. I always liked cartoons. I mean, there was channels like, like the Round Table, who
Oh,
were
oh my
doing like
God, they're
reviews and
good
like
people.
theories and stuff like that. And I was like, that seems fun. So I was like, I'll just pick it up as, a hobby. So I started covering like, Steven Universe and stuff like that. Um, but, like I said before, it really wasn't until like the pandemic hit where it started becoming more of like a job.
Hmm.
And and then Owl House started, and I just like, all right, pandemic's here. Owl House, I'm digging the show, I'm vibing with it. So, that's kind of when, I started doing it as like a job.
Yeah,
Um,
I would have loved to do. I would have loved if I had started my podcast during 2020 because like I didn't really had any thought of it. I wanted to do this whole podcasting YouTube thing, but I really didn't have the heart for it. And in
mhm,
2020, I started to lose a lot of my interest in voice acting. But then I started watching The Owl House, and that made me love it again. So
mhm,
I'm doing a lot better now. So
yeah.
and like I said, you're one of my favorite YouTubers and you put a lot of heart into it. So is like the roundtable in Lee C. Is that how I say it? Is that how I pronounce it?
Oh, like Toon Ruins, like Leah C.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
like I her
Mm,
her her videos are great. Plus, I think she was one of the few people who did that whole theory that Steven was gonna leave at the
mhm,
end of Steven Universe, and she just really puts a lot of heart in put a lot of heart into her videos. So does Ostrich Vox and the rest of the
mhm.
roundtable. So do you guys, and you guys do a really good job bringing animation, like putting animation in a lot of people's heads. Because like it doesn't get that it doesn't get that great appreciation to like most corporations or Hollywood.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I feel that now, especially, we're definitely seeing more of a push for like young adult animation. Not like,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel that, if you go back like 10 years or so, I feel it's like, all right, like kids, like episodic,
Mm-hmm.
haha, funny,
I love my episodic haha
cartoons,
funny. I love that, but
and
I want to see
yeah,
more.
no, absolutely. And there's still that, but I feel like 10 years ago, that was kind of like
Mm-hmm.
the only thing, kind of, with a few exceptions. And then like I feel that adult animation just kind of stemmed from that, and that we see only a lot of, adult comedies, and it's this very like raunchy, vulgar, like they try to
Yeah,
like separate themselves so much from it
yeah, like
that they
Family
just
Guy and South
yeah,
Park and whatnot.
that they
And
just build off of that, like the
yeah.
child like funny haha, and
Mhm.
they're like, okay, we have to go like super edgy with it.
Well, I mean,
Um,
there's some exceptions. Like there's Invincible. I mean,
yeah,
there's still some violence in it, but it has adult storytelling. Like, or I recently just watched The Legend of Vox Machina. Is that what it's
oh,
called?
Vox Machina. I love
Yeah,
Vox
yeah,
Machina.
and it's really good. And it
Mm,
was because my friend AJ got me into that, and
mm,
I started loving it mainly because I recognized some of the voice actors, like Ashley Johnson,
mm-hmm.
Travis
Travis
Willinson,
Willingham,
yeah,
Thor
Willingham,
Bailey, Matt
um,
Mercer. Like,
yeah,
yeah,
like
they
it's
are a stacked.
and it, like I said, I can't wait for Invincible season 2, but I
Mm,
really do want to see more like young adult animation shows. Like have it be like show like do some slice of life, like
yeah,
try doing things outside of the realm of having that same art style, that
yeah.
ranchy humor, that Family Guy, South Park thing. I just want to see more. I want to see more diverse young adult animation shows, and heck, I can see some level of maturity in young and like kid shows,
Mm,
like Steven Universe, Infinity Train, The Owl House, Amphibia.
yeah. And I mean, I think that's kind of like the thing. It's like I know they're like on, Cartoon Network, Disney Channel, these studios that are aimed at a younger audience, but I really feel that the core like demographic that they're aiming for was like teens. And I mean, I
Yeah,
feel that they are reaching the teen and young adult audience, even though they are on a channel aimed at, intended for younger viewers.
yeah.
Um, and I think we're just kind of like seeing that shift of like including more serialized and like deeper themes and like world building and lore and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Um, so we can see things like Invincible and like The Legend of Vox Machina, where those are definitely intended for like adult audiences.
Mhm.
But they're not your general like run of the mill kind of like I usually call them like from the creators of shows, where it's
Mhm.
just like
Yeah.
from the creators of this show, it's this other
Mhm.
show that's in the exact same art style and like pretty much the exact same like you know
Yeah, like
humor and everything like that. Just
mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, it just feels like the same old stuff, and it just kind of like doesn't really interest me. I mean, there's BoJack Horseman.
Mm,
That was
yeah.
also a good show. That's also something I also want to see. I haven't seen Tuca and Bertle. Is that what it's called? I keep
uh
mispronouncing names.
Tuca and Birdie. I haven't seen it, but I
Okay.
know people are
Yeah.
excited that it's
Hmm.
getting more episodes.
And Smiling Friends. I haven't seen that.
I've
So
heard good things about it. I haven't
I've
seen it
heard
yet,
good things
but
about it too. I've seen the meme also,
mm,
but I'll give that a chance. I'll try to give those shows a chance. But my next question was there an animated film or a creator who inspired your pursuit in a career in animation?
oh boy. Um, I mean, I always just kind of preferred cartoons, I think, as a kid.
Hmm.
Like, I don't know. I didn't really vibe a lot with like live action stuff. I don't know. It's because I thought it
Yeah,
was like,
same here. I'm honestly at that point where I'm not really watching much live action right now because it's just more like it doesn't really interest me like in most other animated shows because I grew up with that. I used to watch Ed and Eddie. I used to watch Powerpuff Girls. I used to watch a lot of anime like Dragon Ball. I still do. Still got
mm,
the T-shirt. But
yeah. I mean, that was kind of me, like Pokemon and Sailor Moon. Like, I was just like, and like, especially with like animation, even though I was like watching animation more than like live action stuff when I was younger, like
mhm.
specifically like stuff like Pokemon and like Sailor Moon interested me a lot more because I feel that it was also a case of it being a little bit more serialized, a little bit more like fleshed out, like world building and stuff like that. And I just like, I don't know, I've always liked stories. So it's just
Yeah.
like I like stuff that has like a story to tell.
Hmm. Yeah,
Um,
I'm that same person. I just love serialization. I just love story. That's why I'm into like stuff anime like One Piece or Berserk.
Berserk, yeah.
You know that's coming back, right?
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard that Kentaro Miura's longtime friend is taking over, and so
Mhm.
I'm optimistic about that.
Oh,
I
that's
want to see
cool.
where that goes. I got into Berserk because of my older brother,
Mhm.
and I started watching like this YouTuber named Totally Not Mark. So I'm just really somebody who's into like serialization and storytelling and whatnot.
Hmm. Yeah, and I feel like we're seeing that shift with like Western animation. Like I feel that like a couple years down the road from now, I feel that it's even going to be in like a better place than it is now. But I feel that shows like, Owl House and like Infinity Train and stuff like that are kind of like, paving the path to get there. And I think, what you were saying before about like, YouTubers who like take time to actually like break down everything. I mean, it's because we
Mm-hmm.
like pointing this stuff out, like all the
Mm-hmm.
nuance that goes into like the writing and the characters and the world building and all the thought that goes into
Yeah,
these
that's
shows.
that's me. Every time I get defensive when people always try to talk smack about Steven Universe,
Mhm.
like I am fiercely protective of that show. So
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, like, I feel like we're also, and then like the pandemic probably hasn't helped this either, but it's like I feel that like just Twitter has kind of become just like a very
a
what's the
cesspool.
word? What? Cesspool is a little bit maybe too harsh, but I mean, it's like, Twitter is the place where people kind of just yell
Mm-hmm.
at each other, I feel.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, that is true. That is true. It's you go you don't want to be part of it, but there's some hold on it that just makes you, and it's just like,
yeah,
why am I doing this? What is
yeah.
going on? I don't want to be part of this conversation, but I have to.
Yeah, it's yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I feel like the pandemic has definitely made it worse and people are just
Mm-hmm.
spending more time on there. But it's like, I mean, like media criticism, like you can criticize media and have like actual critiques of just like, like of shows, movies, video games, whatever.
Yeah,
I think that's valid, but I feel that just like Twitter, it's a lot of just like this sucks. And like that's their criticism. And then people are like, well, why do you think it sucks? And it's just like they don't have like a
they don't
legitimate
have a they,
criticism.
yeah, they don't
And then
really
it just
have much.
spirals into this just like
Mm-hmm.
debate online. But I think
Yeah,
like legitimate criticism of media is like fair game.
yeah,
But it's just like
I'm all about
it
that.
just seems that like it's been so like watered down now that it's like when you go on Twitter, it's like if if anybody like objects to like just you saying like this sucks or like this is trash, then like people get like super offended by that, even though they didn't
Mhm.
offer up a legitimate criticism. They're just saying their opinion and not backing it up with anything. Just I don't know.
Yeah, I
It's
see it
weird.
every day, and I try getting off Twitter a lot. Like I try to say I want to take a break, but it's just like
Same.
I can't because I have so many friends on there, and it's just like there's not really
Hmm.
much to do during the pandemic. So what else can you do?
Yeah, yeah, and that's the unfortunate thing about it. And it's just like it's such a double-edged sword because there's so many like talented artists and cosplayers and all that stuff, and like I love seeing that stuff of just like people who are just so passionate about shows and movies and video games that they like and just like the stuff they create out of that. But then the other side of that is that you get just like the awful side of fandoms and communities that are just very toxic.
Oh, believe me, I've been in multiple fandoms, and it's it's hell. Now, the next question is, what is it like working on the Owl House? Is it different from YouTube?
Yeah. um I mean, YouTube, it was just, me kind of doing my thing, just like very much just like me running my own ship.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but cartoons are an incredibly collaborative process where you're working with lots of different people from lots of different departments every single day. um, yeah, so I mean, I think that was kind of like the biggest thing for me because like at least as like a video editor is like if I was, freelancing or, working with a company, like it would just be like a small team of people, like,
Yeah.
and that was it. Or if it, my YouTube channel was just me. But then it's like, you go to a show like Owl House, and all of a sudden you're like interacting with all these different people and communicating with
Yes.
different people within the company and just different departments. And it's just like this,
Yeah,
just
and it's
very, very
crazy.
different. I was just like, oh my God, like I have to like stay on top of like emails and everything like that,
Yeah,
Slack
it's
messages. Like I didn't have to do that before when it was just me. I was just like, all right, like I'm
mhm.
gonna make my video and just kind of like sit at my desk all day. And like I still kind of do that because we're still work from home. But
Yeah,
yeah.
it's crazy, but it's all worth it, huh?
Yeah, I mean, like it's a lot of, you know, there are days that are stressful.
Hmm.
um uh but I mean, like it's such a fun show to work on, and just like the crew really likes the show a lot. And like I think that's like the other thing. It just shows like Owl House, Amphibia, like Steven Universe, Gravity Falls, Infinity Train, like those kinds of shows. uh
Yeah.
they come around every once in a while, and there's not a lot of them. So like when you get the opportunity to, not only just watch a show like that, but just like be able to work on it, it's really special. And
Hmm.
like the
Like,
crews can like tell that they're a part of something that is special and like a good show. So
yeah.
I think that definitely like boosts morale a little bit.
Yeah, from judging by all the tweets like the crew does, like working on the show does really seem like a dream come true. Like there's a lot of lore into this show, a lot of like storytelling, a lot of fun that the crew have in like creating these characters and so much more.
Yeah, I mean, like it's really cool too, because I know that there's people who have worked on this show where like this was like their first job in animation too. I mean, this was my first job in
Hmm.
animation. I know some of the people like working on season 3 of the Owl House. Like some of them came from production, but like now they're in an artistic position.
Hmm.
um Mike Austin, Mike Caddis on Twitter, like this was his first job in animation, who was a storyboard artist on the show. um so it's like it's really cool too, because it's like it's not a show that's like getting like these vets in there, just like
Hmm.
bringing in people from like other shows. And I mean, like I think that's cool that they're like giving people that like chance to work on a show like where it's like their first time, because you do get to learn so much. Like I mean, like I said at the very beginning, it's like I went to school um interested in animation and studying it. Like I've learned so much more just like in these few months of being on Owl House than like the
Yeah.
entire time I was in school. You just learned so much, and you like actually understand like what's going into making a show, and like the pipeline and everything, and like what people are involved in the process. And even though like every studio is different and will have a different way of doing things, but it's like, man, I learned so much more like in these few months, and I'm getting paid to do it too. Like I'm learning
Hmm.
and getting
That's
paid versus like going to school and like paying to learn. It was like, no, it was like basically my job to like learn how all this stuff works.
can
um
you, can you give us a rundown of what being a production associate is? Like,
yeah, so production associate, so production, like I feel in general just like people don't really know what like production does. And it's production is kind of like the department that like facilitates everybody along to stay
mhm,
on track in the pipeline, um to make sure everything's running smoothly. um so like for me, I worked obviously working on season 3, but I also worked in post production on
mhm,
S2B. uh so it's really interesting because like post production's like when you get the animation back from overseas, because everything's animated in South Korea. So it's like you'd get animation back, and then it starts like this whole other pipeline and process for
yeah.
getting the episode done. Because I think people like see uh like the air dates for episodes, and they're like, oh, these episodes are already finished and done. And it's just like, no man, we were like hauling ass like trying to get these things like done and like delivered on time. um so like for me, there'd be days where like There'd be an ADR recording session for S2B. So that's like when we get the animation back and maybe like a line was tweaked or like a
Yeah.
voice actor has to do like efforts or something like that. So I'd be sitting in on a recording session for, an S2B episode. And then, I'd finish up that, like I'd take any notes that were there during that session. And then like I'd hop in and then we'd have like a review or something like that for some art for like season 3.
Yeah.
And then, like maybe I'd be doing some like script stuff or something like that for season 3 where I'm like conforming it to like some animatics or something like that. So it's like uh I mean, it's kind of hard to say, like, I guess what like a day looks like for like a production person because it could
Yeah.
change pretty much on the fly and like every day could kind of be different.
Yeah. So it's not
Um,
easy. Basically, it's
it's
not.
not easy. And it's
Yeah.
like, I don't know, I feel that people kind of like uh I don't want to swear on here. um, but it's like, I feel that a lot of people disrespect production because they don't know exactly like what they do, but it's like legit one of the hardest jobs in
Mm.
animation.
Oh,
Um,
really? So,
and like severely underpaid as well.
mm, yeah,
Um,
that's also another thing about like in animation. Like animation takes too long to make, and it's really hard. It's not easy,
mhm.
CG or 2D.
Yeah,
But for some reason, a lot of people are underpaid, and what
mm,
up with that?
pretty much everyone's underpaid in animation. um, I mean, the thing is, it goes back, I feel a lot to just kind of like the overall stereotyping of animation from Hollywood that animation's only for kids. Um,
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that ever since Encanto came out. I keep saying it's a kid show and whatnot. Like this is animations for kids, and I'm just like, y'all, a kid show, really? I think Encanto has like generational trauma, so
yeah,
it ain't just a kid show. I mean, it
yeah.
ain't just a kids movie. It's
Mm.
so much more than that. Like Turning Red.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like I think it's just like it's a lot of that stereotype, like, oh, it's just for kids,
Mm-hmm.
so we're gonna pay you less. I mean, everyone across the board, like, writers in animation are paid
Yeah,
less than,
and
writers in live action.
I honestly think that's
Um,
unfair for a lot of people because you guys do work
absolutely.
hard on the shows you make, like, and there, animation has some of the has made one of the like most of them have made like the best shows that I've seen in this decade. Like I said, Amphibia, The Owl House, Craig of the Creek, Infinity Train, Primal, like a lot of these shows, and they're getting praise, but they're still looked down upon as being only for kids.
Yeah, and I mean, and I mean, there have been negotiations going on, and it's like people have been fighting,
Mm-hmm.
to get equal pay. And the thing is, it's a process, and it's going to take time. We want to see that like immediate, response and reaction just for everything to be better, but
Mm-hmm.
that's unfortunately not realistic. But people are fighting for equality in pay. Not only in with live action counterparts, but just within the animation industry
Mm-hmm.
itself. I mean, color designers are paid much less than other designer roles in animation. And like the color designers are the ones who are taking like the black and whites. So that's like props, effects, and characters, and they're the ones that are coloring them. But they're paid less than like the black and white character designers or like the black and white prop and effects designers.
Yeah.
Um, so like even within like the animation industry itself in that animation bubble, there are people who are getting paid less than like their coworkers. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so that's also stuff that's being fought for. Just in general, I think everybody who works in animation should be paid more because I mean,
Yeah, I think
animation
so
is hard.
too.
I mean, it's like, I said production is like one of the hardest jobs. Every job in animation is hard,
Yeah.
just like every single job. That's not to like say that, other departments don't have it hard in animation. Everyone works
Mhm.
their, butts off.
Yeah, they do.
And everyone deserves to be paid, for their work fairly. But yeah, so I mean, like there've been negotiations going on, and I'm sure they will continue. But yeah, I mean, the whole thing is it's a process and it will take
Yep.
time,
Like slow and steady
but
wins the race, you know?
yeah,
Slow and steady
absolutely.
wins the
So
race.
it's just like hopefully, as time goes on, uh things will get better and improve. And I think they will. I
Mhm.
mean, we've been seeing it like, productions at different studios are unionizing. So it's just like, just as things continue, hopefully that will just kind of be more of like the norm and the standard. But things are changing. Um, but yeah.
So what's your okay, for some reason it keeps saying remaining meeting time is running out for 9 minutes, and I don't understand why it says upgrade to pro. I don't I thought
Oh,
they don't do
yeah,
that. So but yeah, sorry if it's ending shortly. Yeah, I'm sorry. But
that's all good. I mean, we could just top in again.
what is your stance on the whole girls grow out animation comment?
Oh, that was made the other day. I think it's
Yeah,
really dumb.
it is.
Like, I mean, it's just, I feel it's kind of an instance of just like execs being like, well, this is the data, they just have all these numbers and stuff like that. Um, but I mean, I don't think that's indicative of just like what girls actually want. It's just like, I don't know, I look at a show like Owl House and I feel that just like a lot
Mhm.
of people who watch that show are girls.
Yeah.
It's just like, well, clearly like they like this, so they're not growing out of animation and they're like
Mhm.
young adults or like teens. So it's just like,
It's just ignorance on their part. Like it's just plain ignorance. They don't understand like what the audience want. I mean, didn't wasn't Young Justice watched by girls too? Like I heard
oh
that
God, I'm
show.
sure.
I know I have a cousin. She watches Steven Universe. She
Mhm.
watches a lot of she watches a lot of cartoons. She watches anime. So
Yeah.
like
I,
such saying all of that is just
I think it's just because they're saying that they grow out of animation because they're not providing any animation for them to not like necessarily move up to, you know what I'm saying, but just like there's no options for them because it's like we were saying before, it's like animation was like very uh categorized and like, okay, here's kids animation, which is like episodic comedies, and here's
mhm.
adult animation, which is like the raunchy humor kind of thing. And I feel that that comment was kind of made with that situation kind of in mind of just like, okay, here's like kid animation, you're a teen now, so now there's no animation for you to watch, so now you have grown out of it, is
Mm.
kind of like, I think, what that comment was made about. But I'm just like, if you make animation that's like for teens and young adults, like people are going to watch it, and we're seeing now that like young adults and teens do like watching
Yeah, they do.
animation. So it's
Honestly,
like,
it kind of makes me scared of the whole future for Cartoon Network again because of the whole. They said they want to bring back a live action, and we all
mhm,
know how that ended up with Seeing Real.
yeah. It's so ironic that Cartoon Network's like, let's do live action. I'm just like,
Why? What
I'm
is the
like, it's
point of
in your
that?
name. Cartoons in your name. um yeah, like I don't know, like Cartoon Network's been doing a lot of weird stuff like Cartoonito, which is like they're gonna focus on like preschool content, I think
Yeah,
now. It's just
I did not
like,
get that at all. Why would they do that? I
I
didn't
mean,
hear
like,
them.
well, if you want to make preschool content, like fine, whatever, like more power to you. But like, just I feel that for like to be the sole focus is like such a weird stance and like
It is. It's
path to go down.
I barely really kind of go on Cartoon Network nowadays. Mainly, I go on HBO Max or just watch Toonami on Adult Swim. That's about it. But
Mhm.
like, I haven't really watched Cartoon Network since Steven Universe Future ended. So my focus just shifted from Disney Channel with shows like Big City Greens, The Owl
Mhm.
House, and Amphibia.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Cartoon Network's also been like really weird at like handling their shows. I know they like have HBO Max, um, but I feel like they're not utilizing it like in the best way. And I'm just like, it's a streaming service. You should probably like use that.
Yeah, like
Um,
do something with it. Make Infinity Train season 5.
mhm.
Where's that?
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe someday. I don't think like anytime soon, but maybe someday.
I hope
Um,
so. I hope to God. I'm 24 and I have a lot to live for.
yeah. So it's like we're kind of seeing that transition of just like cable dying and like streaming services being a thing. So it's like I feel like maybe in a couple of years, like we'll kind of see more of a change of people like actually utilizing their streaming services a bit better. Because I mean, Disney Plus is also one where I feel like they're not utilizing their streaming services to the best of their
Yeah.
ability.
I mean, I mean, they could use that to make like a bunch of new animated shows because I know like they switch over from serialization on Disney Plus to like, I mean, not Disney Plus, but Disney Channel because they're focusing on like Big City Greens and Ghost and Molly McGee. Because like I noticed like how they said like the Owl House didn't fit the Disney brand.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at kind of like the upcoming shows that have been greenlit, like none of them are serialized.
Yeah, and I don't mind that. I mean, I love Big City
Like,
Greens. I love most of the Ghost and Molly McGee. I'm excited for Moon Girl. I'm excited for those
yeah,
shows.
yeah, but the company is definitely like shifting to like the episodic stuff, which is like so sad because it's like you saw shows like Owl House, and it's
Yeah,
just
I
like
was. Yeah, I'm sad that its season was shortened. Like I would have. Now I have to ask about that. Could we have seen more of the Hex Squad, like Luce, Ambi, Willow, and Gus, and Hunter hanging out in season 3 if the season had been full?
I mean, I don't know what I can and can't say.
That's
I don't know
understandable.
what I can and can't say. So
That's
I
fine.
just
That's
won't.
understandable.
I usually let Dana just like if Dana wants to say it, I'm like, she's the creator. She can say whatever she wants.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, obviously a lot of stuff got cut because of the condensed season 3, and it sucks because we aren't able to elaborate on those stories. But
I'm
like
still hoping for like a spin-off or a comic or a
I mean,
movie or both.
yeah, I mean, like, I think any of us on the crew would love anything like a spin-off or comics or anything like, and the biggest thing is just like the interest has to be known like for it. That's why like Twitter trends are like really helpful because it's like if people see that there's like an interest for it, it's like, you know, it's kind of like you have to like yell at people in order for them to like get it
I
through their
see.
heads like, oh, okay, people want this. Like I think the Chibi Tiny Tales thing was like people voiced enough interest in
Yeah,
it
like
that
I
Owl
want
House
that.
getting.
Like I said, like if that's possible, I would like to see something else. I like to see like Disney Plus shorts. I mean, not shorts, but more like Disney Plus like series, like in Keen to like the Adventure Time Distant Lands, or like I said, a comic or an art book. I want an art book of the Owl
I would
House.
love an art book. There's so much cool art, in Owl House and just other shows across Disney. But I think Dana had a really good tweet recently where she doesn't want people going into season 3 with a defeatist attitude. And it's
I'm
just
excited.
like, yeah, I mean, absolutely. Like, I think, the condensed season 3, especially with where season 2 left off, people were like, oh man, like I can't believe it. Just like it's a shortened season 3, and just like they're excited, but it also seems to be like they're just very like upset. And obviously it's not like the first choice that I think anybody would have wanted would be a condensed season 3, but like I think with where the show is going, and like if you were to sit in like these meetings that we're having like with the crew, it's like I don't think like the morale would indicate that like the show got condensed because we're just like so excited like with these season 3 specials and like what's gonna happen because like I think like what the crew has done is absolutely
yeah. Like
incredible.
I have faith. I have faith in you guys. Like I think you guys are. I think you guys are gonna knock it out of the park with season 3, and I think it's gonna go out on a bang. And I'm hyped for that. But right now, I'm gonna relax because I finally got my sleep schedule back. Because every
Yeah, right.
Friday, I kept having a lot of these stomach aches because I kept trying to think what's going to happen and all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey,
Well, now you're gonna have season 3 to look
mhm.
forward to. And just like,
So my next question is, what do you think the state of animation industry is right now compared to
um,
the past?
I mean, we talked about, like the negotiations, like New Deal for animation and all that stuff.
Yeah,
Um, I think there is a push to make it better.
yeah,
Just like from an employee standpoint of people who are actually working to make these shows and be a part of these shows. um but I mean, I think that in a couple years from now we'll be seeing kind of more of the stuff that we were talking about before about
yeah.
more young adult animation and stuff like that, especially with streaming services becoming bigger and cable dying out. um I don't think cable will necessarily ever completely go away, but I think, I mean, there's obviously like existing contracts in place and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So it's just like it's a lot bigger than just being like, just move it over to, the streaming service. It's like there's a bunch of like technical, legal, business stuff that's in place. But it's just like I do feel that in the coming years there'll be more options out there. And I mean, I think the other thing is too that we'll probably be seeing a lot more like indie projects and stuff.
I've been
Um,
seeing a lot of those lately. You mainly do like a Hell of a Boss. That's one
mhm,
of them.
yep, yeah, Hell
Uh,
of a Boss. Um, yeah, and that one got picked up, and I know there's like controversies surrounding that about it getting picked up.
what show
Beyond
was
it
it?
just being like an indie project, but
hmm Like,
um,
yeah, I've been seeing a lot of that. I've been seeing how indie shows are
mhm,
getting a lot of love lately, and they're getting their due.
mhm.
And I'm glad that creators are starting to get their independence, where they're able to tell their stories without like creative interference.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about Vox Machina earlier, and I mean, like, I'm a huge Critical Role fan. I've seen like every single episode of like all the campaigns of Critical Role. You know what I mean? That's where Vox Machina came from, was from
hmm
campaign one of Critical Role. Um, and so I mean, like they shopped and like they were like a team of like, well-known voice actors who, had like a very popular, stream where they play Dungeons and Dragons. Um and they pitched that around and like no one wanted it originally. They got turned
Really?
down. Yeah, and so they started a Kickstarter to just make a like a 30-minute animated special.
Hmm.
And it like raised, I can't remember how many, but it was over like $10 million
Oh, damn.
in Kickstarter. And then they got, after that, people were like, oh, like, just kidding, like, what, wait, you want to make an animated show? What? Um, so then Titmouse ended up being the animation studio for that show. And it was on Amazon Prime, and they got 2 seasons. So they went from like a 30-minute like animated special to like having 2 seasons of a
Yeah,
show.
I can't
So
wait for. Yeah, I fell in love with the show, and now I can't wait
mhm.
for season two. And it's something I do want to see more, like in like not just young adult shows, but like more kid shows, like more representation. Like in
Mhm.
terms of like LGBT, more diverse. Because I've been seeing a lot of things like on mainly on Twitter and YouTube where whenever people complain about seeing like a gay couple or like seeing a trans male or a trans female, they'll always have to say it's too woke or something like that. And it's just like people exist, guys.
Yeah, and I mean, I always find the ironic thing is just like, you see so many straight couples or just, cisgendered people as main
Mhm.
characters and stuff. And then the second that there's like one, it's like you're shoving it down our throats and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And there's
it's
like
just
one. um, it's always, yeah. I mean, I just kind of disregard those people in
yeah,
those
I
comments
did
because they're
too.
just,
hmm
arrogant. But
do you think Steven Universe paved the way for a lot of these shows to represent, like, to say the Owl House and whatnot, and Shira and like Craig of the Creek and whatnot. Like they paved the way to showing a lot of LGBT show, like showcasing like same-sex couples, like showing love each other that isn't just a hug but can be like a kiss or just genuine affection.
Yeah, I mean, I think like, all these shows kind of build off of each other, and I mean, that's kind of the thing about just like, I mean, animation takes like such a long time that it's just like, that in part some of the stuff that, fans think like was like added like a lot earlier actually been in the works for like a very long time and stuff like that. But it's just like, yeah, I mean, like Steven Universe and like She-Ra, shows like that definitely paved the way and influence, because it's kind of like once other studios and companies see that another show is able to showcase that, that they're like, okay, well, maybe we can do that too. And I mean, like, it's still, often, a fight to, get that representation on screen. But yeah, I mean, absolutely. Like, I think that just like building off of other shows, like, everyone's collectively trying to better represent people and better showcase diversity in their shows. And, it's a
though
process.
it is still sad that know that there are places where that stuff can get banned, like in like most shows, like I do know that I don't know if it was China or Russia where
Probably
they
both.
banned the Owl House. Yep.
Probably both. Those, I feel those are usually the two that you hear first.
Yeah. Like I do like to see more shows about that. Like heck, I would like to see like a slice of life show about like a gay couple like looking after their little girl, and it's just I would love to pitch a show about that if I ever wanted to like create aside from doing voice acting.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I feel that there's a lot, I mean, animation specifically, I feel that there's, a ton of people who are part of the LGBTQ plus community. So it's like, I'm sure there's so many creators who, do have those kinds of ideas for shows that they want to pitch and put out there. And like, I'm sure, like, we were saying with indie projects and stuff like that, like, I'm sure a lot of people will be going like the indie route for, animation projects. And, I do feel like shows like the Owl House, especially like what they've done with like, Loose and Amity, I feel it's like, that's been such a monumental step that, hopefully going forward, things will
I just like to see
to progress. And for any future creators, who, have shows that, that's kind of a good stepping stone for them to go off of.
Like it's just I just like to see more change in most of these shows, and I think we're getting it. There are still a bit pushback from executives, but I feel like we're starting to get more and more of that representation, and I'm happy for that.
Yeah, me too. And I mean, like, the thing with like executives and stuff like that, and I mean, I know we have executives at every single major company and everything like that, but I do have to wonder, like, I don't know, 20 years from now, I'm just like, I wonder who the executives are going to be, then, because I mean, the people that, are like close to like, our ages, might be in those positions as executives, and, they hopefully will be the ones to kind of, get rid of like the kind of like boogeyman kind of image I feel a lot of people think when they think of executives at a big company.
They already give me nightmares, Rebecca. They already give me nightmares.
So it's like, I hope like, in the coming years, we kind of companies, like Disney, Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network and stuff like that, start bringing people in who genuinely want to change the company for the better and just better represent voices of creatives and those, and those people. But just
the sooner these people start listening to the creators and let them do their own thing, maybe you guys can like I don't know, Disney, maybe y'all like can make some really good money if you guys just listen to the creators, like listen to the people who actually care. Because right now I'm having less faith in the brand. Like not the people who's working there. I mean,
Mhm.
like just the brand, because I don't even know what brand they're doing.
Yeah, and I mean, like, that's the thing. I mean, like, I feel that especially with like all the don't say gay stuff, it's just like, see, I feel that people at TVA and the employees at TVA were like among the first to speak up about it and, among the most vocal. And it's like, you see people are just like, well, why do you work at the company? It's like Disney is such a huge company. They literally own
Everything.
everything.
I mean,
So
they
it's
own
just,
Sky,
yeah,
they own Sky Blue Studios, they own Fox, they own
yep.
everything. What's next? They're gonna take away my
They,
integrity.
they own everything. So it's like it's really hard to just be like, well, you work for the company. It's just like if you work in the entertainment industry, chances are you're part of a branch that is owned by Disney in some way, shape, or form. And it's like I feel that, I mean, I can't speak for, obviously I can't speak for everybody about, what their passions are. Just like my goals were never like I want to work at Disney. It was never like I want to work there. I wanted to work on this show
Mm-hmm.
with this crew, and I think that's kind of like what you have to separate, is that like it wasn't like I want to work for Disney specifically. I wanted to work with the people that were making this specific show. And I see a lot of, people who are artists who, talk about, when you finish your wrap on a project, um, don't follow like brands or studios, but follow people, throughout
Mm-hmm.
your career. Follow the people that you like working with and that you feel that, push you to do your best. And like, yeah, like that's what you have to do. You can't just like stay like with a brand or a company, because that's always going to be changing and just kind of always in kind of like a gray area,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
it's
I
it's
can.
a brand. It's like you can work with a team of people and collaborate and make something that you all are happy with, um and feel proud to like put your name on and stuff like that. But it's
Yeah,
just like when
like
you're like following like a brand, it's like there's always kind of like that weird gray area of it, because it's a corporation. um
hmm like
yeah.
I don't want to work for I don't work for the corporation. I work with the people basically.
Mhm.
Like I work with the people who wants to make this the best damn thing ever.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, like, I think just like, I don't know, I think people think TVA is like a lot like bigger than like we actually are. I mean, like
Yeah,
TVA is kind of like its own little bubble, honestly, and
it
like the
is
big,
like
huge like Disney umbrella. Um, but I mean, yeah, like the people at TVA and like the crews there are just like, I mean, they're all just most the people there are just a bunch of dorks who just like cartoons and just want to make cartoons. It's just like,
yeah, and that's a good thing. Like you guys have like the guys over there, they have a love for making cartoons and they want to do that. They just want to make
mhm,
people laugh. They want to make people cry. They like want to make people jump in their seats. Like they make these great shows.
yeah.
That's every place in every corporation. Even Cartoon Network, even Nickelodeon,
Mhm.
even what else is there a cartoon? Or is that only the big three?
That's like the
Like
big three.
mhm. um
But yeah.
now here's a little fun Owl House question and
Mm.
like a um what if and this could be a head canon. What type of favorite anime would the Owl House cast would love?
Oh man, I'm trying to
Or it
think.
can be a show or a movie.
A show. Mm, I don't know. Like I feel, well, I mean, like I guess Ida like likes Dragon Ball because I guess that's kind of canon.
Join the
Because she was
club,
using it.
Ida. Join the
She
club,
was
Ida.
using it as like her workout video to turn on harpy mode.
I have to ask
Um,
about that. Was that meant to was somebody on the crew a fan of Dragon Ball?
oh god, I'm sure like there's plenty of people on the crew who were, I mean, that was the first half of season 2, so I wasn't on the crew for that, so I have no idea. But I mean, yeah, like, I mean, board artists and like designers are always like trying to sneak like little Easter eggs in there like all the time for things that they like in
they love
shows
because
and
they're
video games and
dorks.
stuff.
They're
Yeah,
lovable dorks.
yeah, for sure. So it's just like, I don't know, like people, but I mean, sometimes it's a director's choice, sometimes it's a board artist choice
Mhm.
to like kind of sneak those little Easter eggs in there. So it just depends. But yeah, I'm sure that plenty of people on the crew were fans of Dragon Ball. Lilith, oh man, I'm trying to think of just like what Lilith would like. Lilith's like very just like pragmatic, so I feel that she's just like
I feel like she would love something that has history in it. Maybe Lord of the Rings, or maybe maybe Miyazaki movies, I guess.
Miyazaki. I don't know. I'm trying to think if there's like any like history related like I feel like Lilith would just like documentaries. Like that's probably like
That
what
works.
um Luce, I feel would just like watch all anime
Oh, I mean,
just
she loves
because
Monster
that's
Slayer Academia, so
yeah, Monster Slayer Academia. um yeah, so Luce would watch all anime. Uh Hunter, I feel that Hunter would just like watching YouTube for like sewing videos.
oh, that's nice.
Willow probably likes watching gardening videos on YouTube, like, but also workout videos. Like, so she'd probably watch like TikTok like workout routines and like YouTube workout routines, but also like gardening videos. So like she has a very interesting like search and watch
I can
history on
actually
YouTube.
see that. I can actually see that. I mean, she likes to work out, so, and gardening. Now, Gus, he would just like everything, anything regarding
This
humans.
pretty much, yeah. Like, so I don't know, like what Gus might just like, those like POV like videos where someone will just like record them just like walking in a city for like an hour. Maybe Gus would like that because I feel Gus would
Mhm.
just like to see like what goes on in like a human city. Amity, what would Amity like? I feel like Amity might just like watching like top 10 moments from like Azura, the movie, whatever like the title is. I feel like she'd probably just like to watch like the top 10 like moments and stuff like that, or maybe like I don't know, maybe even you'd like to watch like video essays and stuff like that
Yeah,
on like
yeah,
Azura
I
stuff
can
too. I
see
have no
that.
idea.
Now King, I don't know, or Hootie. Yeah.
Yeah, King.
Hootie.
Hootie, oh man, I don't want to see Hootie's search history. I feel Hootie would have such a cursed search history.
I
What
mean,
would King like?
it's Hootie, so
King, hmm.
cat
Yeah.
videos.
I mean, King does like watching cat videos. That's canon. Um, oh man, I don't know. It's like really because I'm thinking about like where all the characters are in like season 2. I'm like, oh, what would they do? I'm just like, oh well, King sacrificed himself to save Luce. I'm
Hmm.
like,
That was a very emotional. Why did you guys make me cry? You guys made me
I mean,
cry
I
with
don't
that
know.
ending.
Dana just likes making people cry. Like, I don't know. That wasn't me.
Well,
That was not my choice.
well, it worked. I never.
I'm sure. Yeah, that was Dana and Zach Marcus wrote that episode, and it was directed by Bridget Underwood.
Yeah, I
And
feel
then
like Zach Marcus makes a lot of things that makes people cry, or is that John Bailey Owen,
I mean,
or
I think
both?
they all make people cry. All the writers make people cry.
Well, like I said, it worked because now people are like, now we're waiting for season 3. But like I said, I'm patient. I'm a patient person.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad people are looking forward to season 3, given just kind of the the less than ideal circumstances surrounding season 3, but it's like legit these specials, like we're so excited for people to see them.
Yeah, like would you guys be keen on like an Owl House and Gravity Falls crossover, or even an Amphibia one?
I
If
mean,
it
that's kind of, I don't know, that's more up to Dana, I guess, more than anybody. That'd be like a Dana and Matt thing.
I mean, it
I
would
also
have to be
don't.
non-canon because, well, given what happens in season 3 of Amphibia, so it would kind of be a
Yeah, I
non
mean,
thing.
yeah, I don't know. Like, yeah, that'd be like a Dana and Matt thing. And I mean, I mean, they're friends, so it's just like, sure, I'm sure they'd probably be interested in it. Maybe, I don't know. I don't want to
Yeah,
speak for them, but just like, I mean, they've done like little Easter eggs in both of their shows. Um, there was like the San Diego Comic-Con panel like crossover
I
that they
remember that.
did.
That was fun. That
Um,
was a fun thing.
yeah. So it's like, yeah, no, I mean, like, I think that'd be like cool to do that at some point, but uh yeah, that's a Matt and Dana thing. That's not for me to decide or put into the world.
Now, out of all of season 2, what are your favorite episodes?
Oh man, I mean, so hard because season 2 is like so good. I feel like season 2 is just such an elevation of everything from just like the first season. Um,
Yeah, like season 2 just stomps on season 1. And no offense, season 1, I like it. I love
yeah,
season
no, for
1,
sure. Like
but
season
season 2,
one's like really good. It kind of set up like the groundwork, and I feel that
mhm.
season 2 just kind of elevated like the whole show to just like a new level. Um, uh, I've always loved Eclipse Lake. I've always loved Knock Knock Knocking on Hootie's Door. Um, Edith's Requiem's good. Just like those 3 episodes just in a row are just like so much
Yeah,
to take in.
it's just
Um,
they're just beautiful masterpieces.
yeah, I mean, Yesterday's Lie too, just like specifically just for that last like scene with like
Hmm.
Luce and Camila.
I loved it because of
Um,
V. V is
the
adorable.
yeah,
We all thought she
he's
was
really
going to be
good.
creepy loose, but turns out
I know the
isn't the
creepy
case.
Luce theories. Yeah. Um, man, yeah. I'm trying to go through all the episodes out of season 2. I'm like, uh,
Oh, mine's a good one. That was a good one.
yeah, Hollow Mind. Um, yeah, I do like Elsewhere and Elsewhen because I feel it's like you get to see Lilith and Luce actually like hanging out without like there being a lot of animosity towards each
Hmm.
other. Because like in season 1, there's just like a lot of
Hmm.
animosity.
Yeah, like I
Um,
did notice. Yeah, I did notice, and I know, and gave us cool Aunt Lilith.
yeah, no, cool Aunt Lilith. I mean, I liked Echoes of the Past too. I thought that was a really cool episode, and I thought that was like one of like just the best looking episodes too. Just like
Was that the
considering
one
like
with King? Is that
yeah,
the
that was
episode?
like where
Yeah,
you go to the
that was a good
island
one.
with
That
King
was a good
Lilith
one.
and Luce. I thought that was a really cool episode. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know, like all of S2B is just so good, especially like Hollow Mine onward, like just kind of like all those
Hmm.
episodes are just like so good in each like of the their own way. Um,
Dims the
but yeah,
brakes. That's a
Thumbs the
favorite for
Breaks.
me.
Yeah, that was a fun one. It was like kind of like the last like chill episode
It was.
before
Oh
just
my
like
god! Now
everything
everything else
like
went from stress,
yeah.
tears, fear, and
Yep.
stress.
Yeah, Reaching Out was another really good one. Another really like pretty episode. Um,
Yeah, the
but yeah, I don't
revelation
know.
about Luce's father was honestly one of the most
Mhm.
heart-wrenching moments in the show, and it kind of
Yeah.
it kind of put a perspective on Luce as a character. Like, is most of her happy like optimism a facade? Is some of it true? It's
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't want to say anything, but like, a lot of Luce's character, I feel, and just like season 2 in general, I feel like kind of just grounded the characters a lot more and kind of,
Mhm.
stripped them down from just not necessarily like this, like a stereotype necessarily of the
Yeah, like
characters, but just like,
Like even
you know,
Hootie.
they're yeah, like who they're presenting
Yeah.
as kind of a thing. Um, and I think that this season did a really good
Mhm.
job with
Like
that.
it
And I
really
think,
like
yeah.
yeah, yeah, it really did a good job with like these characters showing more side of them. We get to see like King and his dilemma. We get to see Edith's past.
Mhm.
Hootie does more than well season one because I
Yeah.
have to be honest with you, I wasn't a big fan of Hootie in season one.
I really
I always thought he was kind of annoying, but then I started to love the whole Hootie and Lilith friendship, and I
friendship.
do,
Yeah.
and that little kiss on the head Ida gave him in King's Tide,
Mm,
that was really sweet because it's like even though Hootie can be annoying, she does appreciate him. At least I think
yeah.
so.
Yeah. I mean, like Hootie, um, I mean, like, I don't know, like Dana's, you know, more the person who I guess would
Hmm.
know like what, you know, the intention of like Hootie was kind of like as a like kind of like the comic relief character kind of is like
Hmm.
what it definitely is seemed as. But like he does just kind of like start to grow on you kind of like as
He
the show
does.
goes
He
on. I
does.
I, I feel the big turning point was knocking on Hootie's
Mhm.
door for a
Where
lot of people.
he made Lumity canon,
I
so
know.
and he gave a
um
Harpy Ida, so
yeah, so it's like I feel that like, you know, he definitely just kind of went from like the butt of the joke and just kind of like the punching bag for a lot of characters to actually being like, you know, a bit more fleshed out and just
mhm.
like kind of just wanting to, you know, help the people that he cares about.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, like that's a great example of season two. And I was also surprised with Bellows too, finding out that he's Philip Whittabane and how I always thought that his whole plan was actually going to get rid of Wild Witches and like merge Earth together. I actually thought that was going to be the case, but it turns
mm,
out that he's actually just a
mine.
colonizer
Yeah.
who hates witches
Mm,
and just wants to kill them all. And I'm just like,
yep.
oh, so they're doing that. They're doing that in
Mm,
a Disney movie,
yeah.
in a Disney show.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I can't really speak on like any of the writing or stuff that went into
Yeah,
like S2B. Um,
yeah. Sorry about that.
but yeah, I mean, no, that's just kind of like how the animation like
Mhm.
process goes. It's just kind of like you jump in at like different points, and it's just like, oh, this stuff has kind of already been like done
Mhm.
and wrapped up, and it's just like, okay, so you know, I wasn't present for any of like the writing or anything like that. Um, but yeah, no, I mean, like the whole like Bellows thing. I mean, like I feel that was like a theory that was like floating around for a while. Like, is Bellows human? Like, you know, is he the human that Gwendolyn mentioned in, the fourth episode of season two? Um, so, you know, to get that like confirmation that like, yes, it is, was like very gratifying, I feel, for like a lot of people with
Yeah.
their theories. Um, but yeah, like I mean, the fact that we just kind of get to know like Bellows more like as a character and like his motivations and stuff like that. Um, does not make him like a likable like villain
Mm-mm.
because like I feel that there's certain villains where you can kind of like empathize with like to an extent sometimes and kind of
Like kind
like
of like
see where
King
they're coming
Andreas, I
from.
guess. Kind of like King Andreas.
Kind of like, I mean, you know, Andreas, you could see kind of like what he went through and like why he made the decisions that he did, which isn't like justification
Yeah,
for
it's
the
not,
actions
but
that he
you can
took.
understand. But with Bellows, you just
But
can't really
yeah,
see.
yeah, it's like I think there's a difference between the reason and a justification. It's like for a character like Andreas, you understand the reason why he did the things he did. You're
Mm-hmm.
not saying you're okay with it or justifying it, but you understand the reason and you can like empathize with him in that sense.
Kind of like
Um,
the Amelia from Infinity
mhm,
Train. Like she's
yeah,
done a lot of horrible things, but you can kind of understand what she was going through when she lost her husband, who was also played by the voice actor from Bellows. I didn't know that.
yeah.
That's my theory. He
I know.
actually he died and reincarnated
Yeah, I know.
into Bellows.
I'm like, where are all those theories? Like, where's the Infinity and Train and Owl House are connected in the same universe
I would have
theories?
loved to see an Infinity. I would have loved to see the Owl House react to the Infinity Train, like because
Mhm.
there's after season two, there is a lot of baggage.
Yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, I mean, I feel that season two just kind of like up to the ante in terms of like the darker themes and just kind of like,
Hmm.
what the characters go through and just like their own personal journeys and everything like that. I feel that season 2 is really just kind of like an elevation of all
It
of that.
is. Plus, it really does like I think also with season one, it really does tend to like break the whole fantasy tropes because
Mhm.
I think that's what Owl House is known for. Like we all thought that Luce was like this chosen one, when in actuality she's not really anything special. We all thought
Mhm.
Amity was going to be like this, going to stay this spoiled, rotten girl who.
Mhm.
But then we see a more kinder side of her. We all thought that Bellows was like this mystical like god creature when actually he's just a human who changed his name because he's hated. Like
Yeah,
he's hated.
because he was run out of too many towns.
I was like,
Like,
oh, so that's why he changed his name to
hmm
from Phillips to Bellows because
hmm
he nobody likes him because
yeah,
he's a dick. Pardon my
yep,
language, but he's
yep,
a
yeah. Bellos is not one of those kind of like characters that you're like,
mhm.
I can empathize with them in some way. He's just like a horrible dude. He's just
Yeah, like
not
in
not good.
his treatment of Hunter, like I'm glad Hunter just left
Yeah.
that castle. Also, Zeno Robinson, I give him props for that. He the rest of the crew is the rest of the cast of the Owl House. They did a phenomenal job with season two and season one as well. But I really think they've done an amazing job. Like for example, Alex with King or a
Mhm.
Wendy with Ida. Like
Yeah.
what is your thoughts on those?
Oh man, like I mean, yeah, I mean, kind of part of the fun things that I get to do as a production associate is sit in on the record sessions. So I'll sit down with our voice director, Eden Regal, who also voices Basha. Um, and like, we'll sit there and uh, depending on if it's ADR or if, they're doing like records or for pickups or something like that. Sit there with the script and then go through the lines and stuff like that, and Eden's just like so good at just like understanding like where these characters are coming from and like what's going on with the story and just like working with each of the actors to get the best performance possible out of them. um I mean, the writing is already like so solid and so good with our writing team, that it's just like it really is just kind of like a collaborative process, like the whole process, the whole every step of the way, um that kind of culminates to when you're actually giving a voice to these characters, and the voice actors and Eden really just kind of knock it out of the park
Mm-hmm.
every single time, and I think there's also just kind of being a bit more familiar with like the show, with season 2. I mean, when a season's starting out, you're kind of still feeling out all the bumps in the road, but once you get to like season 2 and things start to solidify a bit more and things start to get a bit more streamlined, um, I think it just kind of helps everybody kind of like understand and get a better grasp
Like the
of.
better the character you
Yeah.
understand, like the more it flows into like the voices.
Hmm.
Mhm. Like
Absolutely.
I
And I mean,
like
just like,
Sarah as sorry about that.
no, 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 go for it.
Like Sarah as Luce, I think she is one of the best people to play a
Mhm.
main protagonist because she really does a great job at bringing out the bounciness and like how genuine nice Luce is, but also in serious moments she can really knock it out apart and really show a great performance. I think she's on par with like Zach from who played Steven
Mhm.
from Steven Universe. Like,
Yep.
and I just hope when we get to season three, I know you can't say anything,
Mhm.
we get to see a performance like
A
no other.
performance. Well, Luce will be in season 3, so
Thank
so
God, because
you will get a performance.
I am so glad that whole collector possessing Luce was theory did not pan out
that was
because
so that was so funny. It's really funny to watch it from like a crew perspective because
mhm,
it's like, we see the tweets and stuff like that. We see the fan art. And it's really funny because it's just like the artwork was like really, really cool. But I'm just like, oh no. Oh no. Like, because like everyone like jumped on that so quickly and just like man, that train was going like full steam ahead, like right out the gate with like the collector possessing loose theory.
Yeah, like I was like, oh no, what if it happens? I was like, maybe, but I was like, oh, thank God it didn't happen. It did not happen
I
because
think it would have been like an interesting take, but
it would have been
just
interesting, but I would have loved but I'm protective of Luce. I'm protected of the sweet magic girl. Well,
yeah.
glyph magic girl.
Yeah, but yeah, like all the artwork is like really cool. Like I would like share artwork that like I found, on Twitter or Instagram, like with the crew and stuff like that. And like it was really, really cool, but it was just like also just like, oh no, like
Yeah.
everyone's like jumping onto this and like it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, but
Like,
hey, it's good that people are creative enough to make like their own
yeah,
theories,
no, I mean
Mhm.
it's always fun seeing like what people come up with and like how they analyze, certain things in the show. It's always enjoyable to see.
Now I have one more final question for you,
Mhm.
and we're good to go. Um, since you basically work in animation, what do you say to anyone who does want to work in animation? Like, what kind of advice do you want to give them who wants to start out?
Oh man, put yourself out there. Like, I know we were talking about like how double-edged sword it is, being
Mhm.
on like Twitter and social media and stuff like that, but like a lot of getting into the industry is who you know. Like I feel that's like with a lot of industries. It's not necessarily what you know, but it's who you know. Um, so making those connections and working with them and collaborating with them is like such a huge thing. Um, because they might get a job offer at a studio or something like that, and then they have an ear out for you about potential job openings and stuff like that and referrals and everything like that. So it's always just about like putting yourself out there, um making those connections, just being a nice person. Like that's,
Mhm.
I feel something that goes a long way is just like don't be a jerk. um yeah, be eager to learn, whatever it is you want to pursue. um and yeah, I don't know, just I feel if you're passionate about it, just follow that. Like it may not always happen in the way you expect or when you expect, and there's probably going to be a lot of no's and almosts along the way. But if you're truly passionate about something and you're really interested in getting into animation or whatever it is you want to pursue, uh, stick with it. Like,
Mhm.
it doesn't always have to be like, every single second of every single day, but just like when you can, uh, stick with it, because you don't want to give up on something that you truly care about. So
Yeah. Well, you heard it from here, guys.
yeah.
Anyways, I'm gonna let you go. Thank you for this. Thank you for like talking on email and agreeing to this.
Yeah, of course, thank you for having me. I had a lot of fun.
Thank you. Have to do this again someday.
Yeah, for sure, if you ever want to have me back, I would be more than
Yeah,
happy to
sure.
come back on.
And sorry if most of my questions ended up becoming a little gibberish and whatnot and kind of rambling on. I'm sorry
No,
about
all
that.
good. No, 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 all good, all good. You did great.
Thank you. You have a good one, and thank you, and keep up the good work on the Owl House.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye.
All right, bye.